Good afternoon. Welcome to the IPCEI Matchmaking and Info session. My name is Marie Anson. I'm the IPCEI project manager at EIT Health, and I will be the master of ceremony this afternoon. The event is organized by EIT Health and Med4Cure, the name of the important project of common European interest, so IPCEI, on health. We are currently at the EIT House with most of the speakers, so I would like to thank them for their participation and thank you for joining online. So before starting, I have two pieces of information to give you. I cannot see my slide, so I don't know. Okay. So about the matchmaking, so don't forget to visit regularly the matchmaking platform to plan meetings with the IPCEI partners. We have now more than 200 participants registered, and the platform will be open until next Friday. So you still have the opportunity to book one-to-one meetings. Then about the info session this afternoon, sorry, I missed this slide. Okay, so you can use the Q&A for the questions, so I will be happy to pass them on the speakers. And where possible, please specify for which speakers the question is intended. For the agenda, just a quick overview. So during the afternoon, we will have 4 main sessions in addition to the welcome address and the closing words. The first 2 presentations will be dedicated to the IPCEI on Health, so one general state of play to settle the initiative, and then a deep dive into Med4Cure work streams. This will give us a clear understanding of both the strategy and the implementation of Med4Cure. And we'll see also that despite the huge effort behind the IPCEI on Health, there are some dead angles. So what could we do collectively to tackle this? That will be discussed during the 2 roundtables. So the aim of these 2 roundtables is to provide insights of the existing instruments or initiatives that could be mobilized to maximize the spillovers of IPCEI. So now I invite Ms. Schreiber, the director of DG GROW. It's really an honor to have DG GROW because we know that her team is really involved in the IPCEI on Health initiative. So I'll let you, I don't know if you want to stand. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Maybe I could just give you the mic.
Yes, thank you very much for the kind introduction, and I'm very pleased to welcome you all to this information session on the important project of common European interest, IPCEI, or in French, PIEC, in the area of health. So I was already introduced, so my name is Christine Schreiber, and indeed I work as a director in charge of several ecosystems in DG GROW, chemicals, food, retail, and important for today, health. So I'm really glad to be here with you today for this info session, which is organized by the EIT Health, and to deliver some welcoming remarks to frame the discussion and the online matchmaking event. So from the Commission's perspective, we see the health important project of common European interest, which is in the making, as an initiative which can clearly contribute to reinforce the strategic autonomy of the EU in the health sector, but also to contribute to its public health objectives. And we have witnessed, notably with the COVID-19 pandemic, that we cannot ignore the need to do more for our health ecosystem, and in particular to increase their long-term resilience. And so I think it's fair to say that the pandemic acted more broadly as a wake-up call to work out long-term responses to the many challenges faced by our health ecosystems, from the security of medicine supply, which are faced for better health needs, for example, through the development also of new manufacturing technologies and also innovative diagnosis tools and therapeutics. In this context, the Commission has identified the need to incentivize breakthrough research and innovation in the health and pharmaceutical sector. making it more resilient and including, of course, through this IPCEI. And this IPCEI framework allows mobilizing national budgets to address clearly identified market failures with an added spillover effect and a strong EU dimension. So indeed, state aid rules on IPCEIs enable member states and the industry to jointly invest in breakthrough innovation and infrastructure. And they do so when the market alone does not deliver, because the risks are too big for a single member state or a company to take. And it has to benefit, of course, the EU economy at large. And so against this background, 1 year ago, 16 member states issued a manifesto committed to, I'm quoting, deepen the work towards the deployment of IPCEI to further address potential market failures, impeding innovation, and improving quality of and access to healthcare of patients. So 2 waves are actually foreseen. We have the Med for Cure and the Tech for Cure with different timelines and state of advancement. And under the coordination from France, and you will hear later on more about it, and with all the member states involved, a lot of work has been done to define the IPCEI scope and the market failures to be addressed. And member states, and I think it's important to recall this, are in the driving seat to identify the scope of the projects, to select participating companies, and to agree on project governance. And this has already been done for the first wave of the health IPCEI, dealing with pharmaceuticals and critical molecules, so the Med for Cure. And the public support by member states to the projects and companies participating under the IPCEI, which constitutes state aid under EU rules, has to be notified to the Commission for assessment and approval. And once formally notified, the Commission, particularly DG Competition, will assess proposed projects under the IPCEI guidelines. And projects have been pre-notified at the end of last year, and they are currently under review. And later in this info session, France, as member state coordinator for the Health IPCEI, will further elaborate on the overall process and give us an update on all the latest steps achieved. And the role explained by EIT Health will also be explained by its CEO, Jean-Marc Bourrez. So without further ado, let me now all wish you a very fruitful discussion, while thanking again EIT Health for the organization of this info session and for the online matchmaking between direct and indirect partners. I will unfortunately have to leave after this welcome session, but I have colleagues who are here either physically or online and who will follow this very closely. Thank you very much, and all of us a good event.
Good afternoon and a warm welcome from me as well, Martin Kern, Director of the EIT. Big thanks to Ms. Schreiber for being here with us from the Commission, showing the importance of this event, and big thanks, of course, for EIT Health, for Jean-Marc for inviting me and for making it possible to have today this matchmaking and info session on the IPCEI. IPCEI on health and especially biomanufacturing. Why is it important, and why is it important in the context of the EIT? I mean, EIT has by now grown into Europe's largest innovation network. In the last 12 years, we have 9 KICs, one of them EIT Health, one of our 9 knowledge and innovation communities, and actually the network itself have over 3,400 partners and supported in the last years over 5,000 ventures, some of them very, very successfully, attracting over 6 billion euros of investment. And that, of course, includes very much EIT Health. Of the 7 unicorns that the EIT has supported, 2 of them have been supported in the early phase from EIT Health, Thwart Health and Oakin. So why are we here? Because we need more of that, and we need more success, because often in Europe we're still not fast enough to bring research and scientific results into solutions, product, services to the market. And even when we're able to do so, we're often not able to scale sufficiently to really become market leader, to also export and to be successful. So initiatives at the pan-European level, such as this one, are the key to change that. Many lessons learned from the pandemic. Ms. Schreiber also mentioned that. There were some successes, also showing the possibilities to do things faster in Europe and more successfully. And especially for the scaling up element, we do need more cooperation and we need to do more. Now, that is at the very key of the objectives of the EIT. So EIT wants to create in Europe a more attractive environment for companies, for innovation, so companies can stay here, grow here, and be successful. And for that, we have a whole tool set to make that happen. Not just our 9 knowledge and innovation communities, all of which, like EIT Health, continuously produce entrepreneurs, students with the skills, with the mindset, but also help startups at the early phase and help them to grow and also facilitate innovation projects, but also the cooperation with other programs. For example, one of the strategic partners of the EIT is the European Innovation Council, and we have some very impressive figures there. 25% of companies that have been supported by the Accelerator program, so with substantial investments from the European Innovation Council, have actually been supported by the EIT community at an earlier stage. So we have a real connection there, pipeline, and not just that, but the majority of them, the majority of these 25% coming from EIT Health. We also have other tools, that is cross-kick cooperation, and I'm really glad that besides EIT Health, we have colleagues from EIT Manufacturing here. And of course, to be successful in an area like biomanufacturing, that cooperation is essential, and we look forward that in the context of the IPCEI, that cooperation will further grow. So this initiative, IPCEI, can be one additional tool in the tool set box of the EIT to really make more cooperation happen, to drive innovation forward and bring more research results to the market. So the objectives of this initiative are fully aligned with what we want to achieve. One element, besides bringing more companies, more industry success in Europe forward, is also to create the mindset, to create the skills for that. And there comes another tool which EIT has been supporting, and where I'm also really happy that EIT Health, in particular also the IPCEI, contributes to, is the Deep Tech Talent Initiative. So as part of the European Commission's new European Innovation Agenda, EIT community committed in the next 3 years to train 1 million talents. And that's a huge ambition, but it's also the type of ambition we need in Europe to really create the skilled people, the talent pool, and also the cooperations that are needed for Europe to remain at the forefront, also in the health field in particular. So we need more initiatives like that, and innovations will come not just by training skills in narrow areas, be it different areas of biotechnology or AI, robotics, advanced manufacturing, all of which are deep tech topics which will be covered by this new initiative, but actually to interlink them. And for example, today I just heard, besides this event, there is another 2-day event on AI taking place in the same premises, and probably creating the type of connections, interlinkages is really what EIT is about, because innovation you cannot plan, but you often need to look across the different sectors and then bring people together that normally wouldn't talk. So this matchmaking is at the very heart of what EIT is about. I'm really happy that I could be here today and help to kick this off and bring you together. Many regards, greetings, welcome to the people in the room. Good luck for EIT Health with the event, and we wish you great matchmaking and information session, and hear more about the results of it in the coming years. Thank you very much, and I think with this I will pass back to the moderator, and then of course you will hear more details from Jean-Marc later on.
Thanks a lot for the introduction. It's really a good introduction to the whole topic, and I'm calling now the next speaker. So thank you a lot for coming. I just let you. So I'm calling Laura Fabre. Laura Fabre from the Directorate General for Enterprise at the French Ministry of Economy, Finances and Recovery, and also Floris Oyemstra is also project manager on the IPCEI on Health from the Dutch Ministry of Health, Welfare and Sports. So Laura, you are a project manager at the DGE and you have been working on the project for almost 2 years now. So since France is the coordinator of the IPCEI on Health, you have a view of both the national and European aspects of the initiative. And you have a big challenge today. You have 5 minutes to introduce the IPCEI on Health. So I let you the floors.
Should I come here?
As you wish, as you prefer. Otherwise, I can just...
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to go back a little bit earlier to mention first all the favorable political context back in 2022, because it was, on one hand, we had this post-COVID awareness where we were quite aware about the fragilities of this health value chain, and on the other hand, we had the French presidency, and those two elements that the French presidency of the EU was allowed us this political push. And those two elements were very key because thanks to that, the March 3 manifesto allowed for a collective agreement on time frame, on the principle of having 2 waves, and on the scope for the health IPCEI. And the idea was to deal first with the most urgent issue regarding the pharmaceutical sector, but also to ensure the fact that we were well within this IPCEI framework, which means that I must recall it, we were planning to intervene on a mature sector, so it was important to meet European common objectives, but also to be sure that we were addressing market failures, that we were, of course, promoting highly innovative and disruptive projects, but also, of course, that we were responding to unmet medical needs. Okay, so this was the first slide. Sorry, I missed it. If we take closer look to the work that have been done back in 2022, as you can see on the screen, we were able to you can see that the first wave of project that we have named Med4Cure brings together 8 member states and 40 projects divided into 4 work streams. And this is the result of discussion we had in first Q1 2022 when it was all about launching the call of interest, selecting the project. Then we launched the matchmaking session from June to September, even October. And then we pre-notified the project in November. It was also, what should be noted is that the appraisal of the Commission is very key, as Christine mentioned earlier, because the Commission is the sole decision maker on the outcome. And this is really important. Why? Because pre-notification is something that is quite informal. We send the first version of the Commission of the project to the Commission. Then we have this assessment, and then the notification is the true decision. And before that, the health IPCEI doesn't exist. This is very important because we are constantly evolving on the subject, and it's an ongoing process, let's say. About the next step, so concerning the IPCEI, the first one, so Med4Cure, we really need to fine-tune this project. The objective is to obtain a validation by the end of this year, of course, and if possible to have still 8 member states and 40 projects, but of course we know that it can evolve. And the second objective is to have, of course, for Tech for Cure, so the second wave of project, a framework that will be collectively agreed by the end of March. On this specific point, maybe just one thing that I would like to emphasize is that for Tech for Cure, we wanted to focus on segments other than pharmaceuticals, of course, and for instance, we wanted to focus more on prevention, diagnosis, or even patient monitoring, because we had this feeling that it's still missing, and we need a coherent and common approach at the European level on this topic. So yeah, I hope it was okay for the timing. I will then give the floor to Floris if you want to complete on the member states' role.
Yes, Floris, you can. You are also project manager working on the IPCEI on Health, so you have also 5 minutes to speak about your point of view as a member state and how it fits with the national policy goals.
Hi everyone, my name is Floris Hoogimstra. I work for the Dutch Ministry of Healthcare, Welfare and Sports, and then specifically for the Department of Medication and Medical Technology. And my job activities are mainly related to the security of supply of medication and innovation. Yeah, I have been asked to shed some light on why, as a member state, we are interested in joining the eventful IPCEI. A small disclaimer, this is for the Med for Cure, so for the first wave IPCEI. On the screen you can see the policy agenda of our department in the 5 Olympic rings. We stole those from the sports department. I have put in bold the 2 policy goals that are related towards the IPCEI, and that's the availability of medication, medical devices and body materials, and sustainability. I think the previous speakers already highlighted the need on the availability of medication and how that especially came into focus after the recent pandemic. Furthermore, it also touches upon the drug shortage that we as a member state, but other member states experience as well. So it's both pandemic preparedness and availability of medication outside of pandemics, with of course the rationale that if you have an enhanced availability of medication in normal times, then during a pandemic you're better prepared as well. Sustainability, I don't think I need to elaborate the need for that one. There's an enormous footprint that the healthcare sector has that we have to reduce. So these are 2 of the 5 policy goals that relate to the IPCEI. And I assume you all will recognize these policy goals as those are more than just national policy goals. These are European problems, and they also require European solutions. So that's how we ended up at the IPCEI. Of course, there are many more European policy instruments that could be for use. I won't bore you with the complicated rationale, the reasoning why we chose for the IPCEI specifically. But just to shed some light on that decision is that we as a department focus on the stimulation of innovation and research, and the IPCEI provides us the opportunity to stimulate exciting technologies within the innovation and greening of production and technologies related to medication that we couldn't do in any other framework. It is a beautiful example of public and private partnerships, something that we strive for as well, because we cannot solve these problems just on our own. Not even with the whole of Europe, with other European member states. We do need the companies as well and the academic institutions. Furthermore, the IPCEI, what it also provides for us is the possibility to have national projects integrated into European projects. So an enormous network becomes available to us that wouldn't become available to us in any other for any other policy instrument. I think this event here is a beautiful example of that networking aspect in play. So yeah, all in all, the IPCEI is a beautiful combination between national policy goals, European problems, but also European solutions. And that is one of the many reasons why, as a member state, we decided to join Laura on this eventful journey, what the IPCEI has been so far. So yeah, that is why we, as the Netherlands, are participating in the Med for Cure IPCEI.
Thanks a lot for your presentation. So, Floris, you mentioned private-public partnerships, the importance to integrate partners coming from all the value chain. So, we know that for the project, we have the direct partners that have been pre-notified, but then there is a necessity to have some indirect partners to really have strong expertise and bring innovative solutions. So, could you elaborate on this, and how do you envisage this onboarding of new partners within the project?
Yes. So I think with the IPCEI as the direct participants, so the direct partners have to be companies. Indirect partners are needed, as it is an opportunity for more the academic institutions to be part of the IPCEI as well. Furthermore, it provides another opportunity to have more cross-border collaborations that companies might have had difficulty with foster them themselves. So some facilitation on their behalf could be would enhance all the projects. So I think those are two reasons of the many why the indirect matchmaking is needed and why we look for indirect partners.
Okay, thank you. Laura, so you have explained that the notified state aids will be allocated to direct partners, and we see a clear role for indirect partners on the overall project. And could you explain the possibilities for those indirect partners to come join a project, but also what has been done in the previous IPCEI, the kind of co-funding organizations, or the type of partners that could join?
Indeed, yeah. As Floris said, direct participants must be companies, but indirect partners, it's quite open as a role, so you can be an academic coming from academic sector area. Sorry, you can be a company, big, small. You can be I don't know, CDMO. So it's very open. The objective is to give the opportunity to the right actor to be at the right place in the project. So this is the context. Regarding the previous IPCEI, this matchmaking between direct and indirect partners has been done, let's say, in quite informal way. And this is the first time we organize it in such a formal way. So we really want to structure the discussion, give the opportunity to all the European actors to meet with each others. And why? Because the health sector is quite, let's say, specialized, not really specialized, but at least it's special, and there are plenty of startups. It can be a bit difficult to understand what is the right tool if you are in the right project and so on. So we want to help them, and we want to accompany them. And last but not least, when it comes to IPCEI, the DG competition is really formal on that. I mean, you have to ensure that there is a spillover effect. So you have to ensure that there is a dissemination of the knowledge and so on. And that's important. That's why it's important to have a lot of actors involved.
Okay, thank you. And then, because we are there as also EIT Health, so member states have assigned the EIT Health the role of external contributor. So could you explain it and why we have this special place, let's say, in the IPCEI on Health?
Actually, the role of external contributor has been designed in order to allow synergies with program initiatives already existing. And what is important to bear in mind is that the supervisory board is the one who will decide whether or not the external contributor is indeed willing to cooperate with the IPCEI on health, based on a roadmap that is key. And the objective is to ensure the impact of the health IPCEI, of course, to disseminate the knowledge, as I said, regarding the spillover effect. It's really important because, for instance, EIT Health has a big community, big ecosystem, so we want to spread, let's say, the word and within this ecosystem. And we want the external contributor to help the health IPCEI to be at the core of the health industrial strategies. That's why we want to build on the synergies.
Thank you. Floris, do you have maybe also a point of view from a member state, because Laura is also involved as a coordinator, on the role of EIT Health or, of course, other European instruments to really complement the IPCEI on health? What do you expect? What kind of contribution do you expect, ideally?
Well, ideally, what we expect of an external contributor is to have a better overview of all the European actors that could be integrated into the project and could make a contribution to it. We as a member state have an overview of the Dutch healthcare sector and the players in there, but it's already a bit more difficult for us to have an overview of the European sector. So I think that is a clear comparative advantage of an external contributor like EIT Health that could be of addition for this IPCEI Health.
Okay, perfect. I think we have time, a few minutes for questions. I don't know if we have questions online. No, and maybe from the audience there. I don't know. Shy audience today. So we can switch to the next presentation. Thank you, Laura and Floris, for your participation. Next. So now we will discuss the Med for Cure work streams. So as you say now, the first wave of project is focused on pharmaceutical sector and critical molecules, and the next panel composed of 4 Sherpas, so the one per work stream, will tell us all about the state of the art, the technological locks, and the proposed solutions for the Med for Cure. So I now call Sophie de Rennes. I don't know if she is online yet. So Sophie, you are head of analysis and market development and also in charge of the coordination of the drug sale program at Établissement Français du Sang. I give you the floor for the presentation of the first work stream.
Thank you very much, Marie. So let's start with the workstream A. The workstream A is focused on bioresources, addressing various market failures to develop new technologies and new biotherapies. More specifically, this work stream is enriched with European biological and genetic diversity to meet different needs within the framework of the IPCEI on health. The aim is to provide banks as starting material for the production of new biotherapy, to allow access to cell, rare tissues or samples, to enable the discovery of new drugs, or to accelerate the development of personalized medicine, especially for rare diseases. Another important aspect is the collection, analysis, and sharing of generated data, which requires the establishment of secure algorithms and databases. Indeed, the different collections exist to meet research needs, but few GMP banks are available to produce new biotherapy in clinical trial, and especially these banks will not meet the needs of scaling up. The collection of precious cells or samples is complex, especially for rare diseases or for different types of tumors. Today, few collections are rich enough and accessible to enable the development of new drugs and the identification of specific biomarkers. The field of phage therapy is also poorly developed in Europe, with very few resources available today to offer an alternative to antibiotics. Finally, the sharing of health data and its analysis is a critical point and extremely constrained today, not allowing access to the huge potential of this data. You immediately understand the lock we want to lift. Define quality and biosafety specification to enable the production of biotherapy, including large scale. Propose solutions to address the problem of cell alloreactivity. Obtain stable phage banks for preclinical studies and especially for the treatment of patients with antibiotic impasse. Propose data to make it informative and accessible. All the laws we address have strong regulatory, data protection, and ethic aspects. To meet these laws, next slide. To meet these laws, we propose different axes. The first one concerns the cell, tissues, and organs necessary for the production of new biotherapy, providing the qualitative banks necessary to develop these new ATMPs, including on large scale. Solutions will be proposed to meet the different needs, including immunotolerant cell lines. Regarding drug discovery, cell lines will be developed to increase this potential, especially in rare, chronic, and tumor diseases. They can also lead to the new potential assay using organoids or organs on a chip. We will also collect samples and their associated data to identify new specific biomarkers, conduct epidemiological studies, or define the omics signature of some specific pathologies. We will establish different collections, viral, phages, bacteria, to advance the identification of determinants of microbial resistance and deploy bacteriophage banks in GMP grade. Finally, the data processing aspect will be taken into account to allow easy and secure access, but above all, an informative analysis of the data. 15 companies are directly involved in this workstream A.
Thank you, Sophie, for this presentation. So we have now Pierre Cote, Head of Strategic Partnerships and Innovation for mRNA Center of Excellence at Sanofi. So Pierre, it's up to you to present the workstream B.
I think I'm on workstream C. This is probably Claudia now.
Sorry, I missed up the workstream. So Claudia, Claudia Fernandez. She is project manager at Horizon, so she will present the workstream B. Sorry. We cannot hear you, Claudia.
Hello?
Perfect.
Okay, sorry for that. So I will present the second workstream on this EIT Health, which is workstream B. This workstream wants to help deliver new in silico, in vitro, and in vivo, safer and more predictive preclinical models to test novel therapies, but also diagnostic methods, detection equipment, and biomarkers as a tool set to advance the preclinical and clinical science and regulatory acceptance. This will help to identify new innovative therapeutic targets, biomarkers, and also theranostic solutions as the basis for the development of novel treatments and preventive interventions. And furthermore, this workstream aims to develop non-clinical and RDI platform to share the knowledge, resources, and results in an open IPI regulated frame. So the research for new and effective treatment has been evolving since the introduction of the iPSCs and the next generation in vitro primary tumor cell models. Biomarker and digital technologies approaches can significantly improve diagnostic potential and also the prediction of response to treatment. So the use of omics methods have significantly increased their role in the diagnosis. And besides these traditional strategies focusing on small molecules, antibiotics or biologics, the development of RNA and DNA vaccines, bacteriophages, and ATMPs are a great example of this potential for new effective treatments. We have considered some technological logs. First of all, the development of experimental models for rare indications, which are mainly conducted by academic groups in the EU, and due to the fact that there's limited resources, can generate first lack of publicly available sources of iPSCs lines derived from rare disease, and also lack of mice models that offer the possibility to test the lead molecules. Also, there's a high selectivity and variability of selection in the use of bacteriophage results, and in the need of the single therapeutic phage for the custom-made medicinal product. Furthermore, despite the great strides in the gene therapy, both the safety and efficacy of nucleic acid vectors need to be improved, and the cost and time associated must be reduced to ensure the full clinical potential. And finally, despite or maybe just because the ATMPs are highly innovative therapies, their cost and uncertain value claims have raised concerns among the health technologically assessment bodies and payers. So furthermore, for next slide, please, thank you. Workstream B has identified some directional solutions in order to cover that. And first of all, identifying targets, compounds, and biomarkers based on omic data and also innovative tools. Second, the creation of new in silico, in vitro, predictive models, tools, and digital twins for the improvement of the medical translatability to reduce the attrition rate in preclinical and also clinical development. Following for a generation of new technologies able to provide to the regulatory agencies additional evidence of safety and effectiveness to support the required development of the novel therapies in order to develop the new therapies. And finally, the creation and the sharing of the integrative repositories for experimental models and tools to explore therapeutic approaches to treat the infective, cancer, and rare diseases, and to foster the advancement of these new medicines. This will include the setup of a decentralized and federated platform. And down below, you have all the components involved in this workstream B. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. So now it's up to Pierre, so the Head of Strategic Partnerships and Innovation for mRNA Center of Excellence at Sanofi. Pierre, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And so this is a distinctive pleasure to present you the workstream C. Okay, thank you, fantastic. So related workstream C, if you follow the path that was laid for the A and the B, this is really to process innovation through enhanced drug discovery, preclinical and clinical. So this is really to bring forward the new pipeline leads being either drug substance, drug product, vaccine, cell organ and gene therapies, and even the manufacturing processes to reach really some kind of the pre-industrial scale to the GMP manufacturing scale. If you think about what is going to be needed in workstream C, this is the lead compound previously proposed in other work streams, but really some kind of to improve their efficacy, their safety, their pharmacodynamics through platform, test, learn, and using a fast developmental cycle. So that's the rationale for workstream C. If you think today about really the state of the art is that many technological advances across the full spectrum of pharmaceutical industries and related technology, and if you can think about these technologies such as it could be cell-based therapy, it could be CRISPR, genome editing, it could be machine learning, in silico modeling, all of that showed tremendous progress and really is pushing forward the frontier of pharmaceutical research to new horizon. Better understanding the disease has been developed in workstream B. So really the solution for the C is to engineer the new treatments. And when we say engineer the new treatment, you can think about what is done in synthetic biology, recombinant protein, nucleopeptide conjugates, or even reprogramming natural cellular organism. And you can think about the phage or the viruses or the cell or xenoorgans. So that's the state of the art. However, we see some challenges, and this is what the IPCEI is really meant to really address and tackle. Amongst the technological locks that you can imagine is that we mentioned a lot around the omics and really some kind of the dawn of the personalized medicine. But efficient medicine has to be for each patient some kind of tailored to their subcondition. So patent medical solution discovered are also now they rarely use as is. They're always improved and rendered even better. So the final product administered to patient is both safe and efficacious. Furthermore, the raw materials sometimes do not even exist in GMP grade. I mean, they were developed at research, but being able to bring something to human requires GMP grade materials. So this is important to work also with our suppliers. Another technological lock is, of course, the cost of development of new therapies. And the cost range from 400 million to 4 billion. And the success rate is staggering low if you consider the amount of molecules that are actually screened or even developed. So really some kind of improving the odds is really at the core of what Workstream C will be looking to tackle. A very important dimension also that Workstream C talks about is that much of the expenses occur pre-market authorization. And if you think about really where the spend is mostly split is at really the clinical trial stage. So something that the Workstream C is interested to work on and tackle is that the clinical development phase. If you think about a recent story that we all lived through, which was the development of the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines, it shattered the record and it shows that there is significant improvement that could be done in clinical trials. So that's also something that we'll tackle heads on. And finally, although this is not necessarily directly addressed by the EPK, but the regulatory dimension associated with the development of innovative pharmaceutical product constitute a major technical lock. So something that Workstream C will be interested to have is the creation of this innovation excellence center, some kind of developing enough know-how within IPCEI and member states in order to have the necessary, the critical mass of experts that will be able to help and guide regulatory agency. You can move to the next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. So that's one thing to say about the challenges. The other one is obviously to talk about our directional solution. And Workstream C brings together really the entire complexity of new products or drug development, irrespective of their nature, from post-research to pre-industrial scales. What it means practically is that design new leads, being either product, substance, vaccines, related processes, everything is going to be developed and improved there. If you think about also the design and development, I talked a lot about the GMP, so that's going to be important to bring that GMP manufacturing capacity, again, pre-industrial scale under Workstream C. A directional solution will be to improve the efficacy, the pharmacokinetics and safety profile of innovative development. Done in previous work streams. Again, we identify the molecule and workstream C will improve on them. And irrespective of the therapies, it could be route of administration, early development, etc., all of that will be developed in workstream C. Another solution important is really the validating these innovations through clinical trials. And if you think about the clinical trials improvement and way to approach really some kind of the demonstration of efficacy and safety. Again, trying to really capture that speed. We have also a dedicated solution, and that was mentioned around the omics and the personalized medicine for clinical trials as its own almost like unique track. And that's a specificity that will be obviously tackled in workstream C as well. And last but not least, the first industrialized development activities will be all of these innovative modalities developed in EIT Health are really some kind of pre-market. And so that's an important consideration. Because this also presentation is intended to you, future and their partners, and also the member states, really, we captured at the end some information around really the entity that will beneficiate from the workstream C and really what we develop. And you can think about academic research or hospitals, centers, the spin-off, academic spin-off. You can think about everyone from small to large biotech or pharma companies, the CROs and the CMOs, the clinical research organization as well, and raw material suppliers. So all and every one of these entities will beneficiate from that workstream. And at the end, we have also the list of direct partners that have been mapped and that you can we can find on the platform, which are more than 20 companies, okay, that have submitted project along that axis. And with this, I give the floor to Klaus for the workstream D. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre. I think that for the workstream D, we will have Bernardo.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Klaus is nearby for the Q&A, but I think Bernardo will do the presentation.
Okay.
So, Bernardo...
yes, can you see me? Can
yes,
you see me now?
Perfect.
Yes, okay.
So,
okay.
You are also working at Sanofi, Italy. You're
yes.
Industrial Affairs Lead and Public Affairs for Sanofi. So, and you will present the workstream D. So I let you the floor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. Good morning. Good afternoon. Sorry, everyone. And as you can easily imagine, the workstream D is the terminal end, let me say, of the other workstream, because this workstream is focused on the production. And today I want to talk to you about the future of pharmaceutical manufacturing. As we all know, developing and implementing innovative manufacturing solution for a broad set of active principles in a multitude of indications is crucial to improving healthcare outcome for patients and develop European sovereignty. And that's why technological and digital development must focus on improving, evolving, and growing the state of art for greener and more sustainable production of APIs, drug products, as well as for innovative therapeutic solutions that will come from the other work streams, such as ATMPs, prophylactic mRNA, or DNA vaccines and theranostic based on medical isotopes. But unfortunately, manufacturing process development in the pharmaceutical industry is not always up to date. While established therapeutic approach benefit from a clear regulatory frameworks and well-established manufacturing principles. The same cannot be said for the innovative therapeutic principles such as ATMPs. These are mainly promoted by small players who focus on individual solution for specific products due to the absence of a clear regulatory framework. Moreover, the conservative quality approaches through in-process controls and classical release testing can lead to time-intensive and material-consuming testing procedures. However, the regulatory requirements for the existing manufacturing are really demanding and don't promote innovation easily. Batch processes are still the standard in the pharmaceutical industry in APIs and DP manufacturing, including also lyophilization. This can lead to a large manufacturing footprint, high energy consumptions, long lead times, limited throughput, and poor control of product quality and uniformity. Despite these challenges, we must develop directional solution for manufacturing process developments, scale up and establishing innovative, greener, and sustainable manufacturing solution that focus on the modalities, on APIs and drug products, as well as small molecules, recombinant proteins, vaccines, high potent APIs, ATMPs, prophylactic mRNA and DNA vaccines, and theranostic based on medical isotopes, each with their respective particularities. There are a lot of differences in this work stream because we need to manage several different kinds of drugs. Of course, this will include novel, scalable, greener solution for personalized medicine, up to large-scale manufacturing for generic, small molecules drugs. Innovative manufacturing principle based on Industry 4.0 principles, including continued manufacturing of APIs and DP, must be developed to improve process reliability and avoid sampling for in-process control and release testing. The next one. Okay. In conclusion, we have to continue to develop and implement innovative manufacturing solutions to meet the needs of patients and the healthcare industry. We must overcome the challenges of outdated manufacturing principles and conservative quality approach to make a significant impact in the pharmaceutical industry by focusing on the modalities of APIs and DP, as well as I said before, small molecules, recombinant proteins, vaccine, high potent APIs, and so on. We can create a sustainable future for the pharmaceutical industry that benefits to everyone. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. So now we have a Q&A session, and for the Q&A we have additional speakers. So Klaus Latman from EuroAPI, also Consuelo Diaz from WOVI. We have also Andras Dignes from Biotalentum, Isabelle Fugier from Sanofi, and Marcin Duleba from Review Therapeutics. I don't know exactly if everyone is there, but... Okay, so we have a few questions now. I will just... So one general question, but it's... I think it's really important to have your views on that. One question is, how many indirect partners are considered to be the minimum to meet the European Commission spillover criterion? So can you formulate a concrete number? 4, 3? I know that it's really depending on the project, but maybe you can add some comments and from the point of view of the direct partner. So how do you build your consortium and how many indirect partners are necessary, let's say, to achieve the goals? I don't know who wants to... Yes?
I'm András Dényer from Hungary, Biotalentum. So I think this is a very good question, and there is no one answer, because this is a very complex overall project with 40 sub-projects. So by the nature of my project, for example, I need not only academic partners, hospitals in clinical trials and for new ATMPs in type 1 diabetes, but I might need also patient organizations and NGOs who are helping the spillover and communication with the public. And that's also, I think, the case for rare diseases. There are lots of rare disease organizations who has a very important role as key stakeholders. And I'm focused on ATMPs, and from this point of view, the regulators are very, very important for all of us, not only the national ones, but the European-wide and the worldwide ones, because this is a fast evolving field. So indirect partnership by any kind of key stakeholder is most welcome. And I think it would be naive to think that at the beginning of this project we will have all potential indirect partners on board. As the project will evolve over the years, we will have more and more. And at least that's my hope.
Yes, thank you. I think it's a good information also for the potential indirect partners, because they have the possibility to join the IPCEI all over the duration of the project. Is not because we are now doing this matchmaking now this week, but then there will be more opportunities along the course of the project. So thanks for your answer.
Yes, maybe, hello. So I'm delighted to be there, and thanks for the questions. So concerning, for example, the Sanofi project, we have 10 work package, and we already identified 4 times partner and direct partner to help us to accelerate this implementation of the platform mRNA, RNA, LNP in France and Europe. And of course, we are sure that during the 10 years project, we will have more collaboration to set up.
Thank you for this precision. So we have other questions. I see one question is how we pronounce IPCEI or IPCEI, but there's no rule, I think. It's really up to you. IPCEI, yes. So there is one question about the funding, but I can take the question, but I think it's more related to the other roundtables. So the question is, what kind of funding are available for direct and indirect partners? So I let this question for the 2 roundtables that we will have later on. We have also a question for the workstream B. So the question is, how does this workstream be linked to the IHI Innovative Health Initiative? Who are the win-wins realized? So I don't know if the...
Yeah, no, of course, as all the other work streams, there are a lot of interactions with other organizations or programs at European sector. Of course, I think there are plenty room to find other collaborators for that. Health is a really complex scenario where the knowledge provided by any of us and all potential indirect partners, institutions involved are more than welcome. And the idea is with all of this support, with all of these knowledge, try to build the more comprehensive new wave of innovative treatment. So, of course, there is some overlap. These are different ways of funding and different ways of participating, but all of them has a place here.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. So we can move on for the next roundtable. I would like to thank all the speakers for the great discussions and this deep dive into the work streams. I think it's really helpful also to understand the process and the rationale under the work stream of the Med4Cure. So I'm calling the next panel to come on stage. So we have Magali Poineau. She's team leader, governance cell and synergies at IHI. We have also Jean-Marc Bourrez, the CEO of EIT Health, and Konstantinos Georgioulias. Konstantinos is the director of Regional Innovation Scheme and EU Affairs at EIT Manufacturing, and he will moderate this roundtable to discuss the synergies with other instruments when complementary to IPCEI on Health to empower all innovation ecosystems players. So I give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Marie, for all the moderation actually of the previous panels. I think we also got a lot of very helpful information. Now in this panel with our honorable panelists that you already introduced, Jean-Marc Bourrez, CEO of EIT Health, and Magali Poineau, team leader of Government Cell Synergies and Innovative Health Initiative. We're going to, let's say, perhaps dip a little deeper regarding the synergies to illustrate how some successful synergies can be materialized within the context of the IPCEI, how we can bring the various initiatives together, for example, not only in the EU level, but also in a regional and national level. We're also going to identify some examples, or at least we will try to. But without any more delay, I would like to give the floor to the CEO of EIT Health KIC, Jean-Marc Bourrez. So first, if you can introduce yourself and EIT Health, and then we'll continue with an interesting discussion, I suppose.
Thank you so much, Konstantinos. So Jean-Marc Bourrez, CEO of EIT Health. So from a background perspective, I'm coming from a pharmaceutical industry sector. I left Sanofi in 2016 to join EIT Health as the French managing director. So when it comes to EIT Health, as you have heard in the introductory words of Martin Kern and Kristen, EIT Health is one of the knowledge innovation community which have been incorporated in 2015. So we are one of the 9 knowledge innovation community which are EU-funded instruments so far. We are part of the third pillar at the Horizon Europe program, in which we are sisters organization of the European Innovation Council and the European Innovation Ecosystem. So 3 main instruments in the third pillar: EIE, EIC, and EIT. EIT Health is the KIC which is addressing the societal impact and better outcomes for patients, which is one of our strategic goals, but also the healthcare system sustainability to sustain the healthcare system reimbursement across Europe. And last but not least, the third strategic goal is related to the economic impact by supporting the market access of innovations and the development of the entrepreneurship to support promising startups and SMEs. From a footprint perspective, we are organized across 8 co-location centers plus InnoStars, which is the hotspots of innovations for the Central Europe. in Eastern Europe so far. And all the collocation centers are regrouping or embracing the entire value chain of innovation in the healthcare sector, from industry with pharma companies or medtech companies, or health insurance for private sector and public sector, university hospital, universities, medical engineering schools, but also business schools, private investors from the venture capital markets, including the business angels, and last but not least, the research organizations, so institute or research centers that are working together across this value chain within EIT Health. Today we are roughly 150 EIT Health KIC members across our network of partners. So this is what we are actually doing.
Thank you very much, Jean-Marc. Then if I can go to Magali. So Magali, if you can also say a few things about yourself and your organization.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. So my name is Magali Poineau. I'm working for the Innovative Health Initiative Joint Undertaking. So for those you maybe not be aware of this initiative, so it's, I would say, a joint venture between the European Union, represented by the Commission, and the industry in the health sector. This is not limited to the pharmaceutical industry during the third phase of the program, but we also have on board the digital industries, the diagnostic industry, the medical devices industry. So it's really important to make sure that we have one approach taking into consideration the whole health industry. Reason why now also are also on board not only the Directorate General Research from the European Commission, but we have also DG Grow, DG Connect, and DG Santé. So just to make sure that we have all the stakeholders around the table. So what is the objective of this initiative? So this initiative is not to develop as such new drugs or new solution medical devices, but more to see how we can accelerate the development process of the different medicine and medical devices. So we are not close to the market. So if we look at the timeline in the development process, we are not so close to the market compared to the EIT Health. It's really important to understand this aspect. So we are more focused on the research part. And how does that work on our side? So the objective is to identify together with the European Commission and the industry involved in our initiative different areas of activities. And when we have identified these different areas of activities, we launch call for proposal, and you have to be fully informed that any European fund invested in IHI are not directed to industry. The objective is to ensure that we have commitment, financial commitment from our industry partner in our project. And with this industrial commitment, we are in a position to leverage EU fund. So when we select a proposal for each euro leverage from industry, we are in a position to invest one EU fund that will be directed to public partners and small and medium-sized enterprise. This is really the principle of this joint undertaking. So our joint undertaking, of course, has also the objective to make sure that we involve not only the industry partners, but we also involve all the stakeholders that need to be around the table. So in each of the projects, we systematically ensure that we have also the patient organization, the regulators, the hospitals, the research organization. So this is also one of the key aspects of the IHI project, which is the successor of the Innovative Medicine Initiative. Maybe you know more IMI as a name, as a brand, than the IHI. So that's clearly the objective. And I will develop further how we can develop the different interaction. Our objective as a joint undertaking is to make sure that we ensure and we facilitate the synergy between the different initiatives, just to make sure that we make the best use of each EU euro invest in the health project.
Thank you so much, Magali. Indeed, very interesting everything that you said, especially also bringing all the stakeholders together. I truly believe this is indeed something very important. I will go back to Jean-Marc. Jean-Marc, you also talked in your introduction about EIT Health as an important initiative on the third pillar regarding innovation on health. Now we're talking about an IPK or IPCEI on health, and indeed it looks that the EIT Health should be a key player. So can you please tell us a bit about your thoughts on how EIT Health, what would be its role and its value in such kind of collaboration?
Yes, for sure. Thank you. So when it comes to the potential contribution of EIT Health as an external contributor, as you have heard from Laura, we are having a special position within the IPCEI consortia. So Med4Cure is the first wave, as you have heard, focused on advanced therapeutics and antimicrobial resistance. We know that the member states are moving forward to align between each other to define the market failure regarding the second wave, which will be so-called Tech4Cure, focused on medtech diagnostics and digitalizations of healthcare. And EIT Health, as an external contributor, is expecting to support the direct partner to identify potential interesting indirect partner that are looking forward to enhance or to increase the collaboration with the selected direct partner as of now so far. So 40 direct partner has been selected, if I'm correct, and they are looking forward to nurturing the relationship with potential of indirect partners across Europe, from contract development manufacturing organization, from public side and private side. I mean, from hospital or public research and private sector, but also with university hospital. They are looking for clinical investigation centers, research organization for bolstering and accelerating the transfer of research results towards these project consortia, including a spin-off from academic partners, but also looking forward to develop new model of evaluation to increase and accelerating the innovation implementations of promising advanced therapeutics in the healthcare sector, including the implementation phase that includes potentially the way to assess the outcomes that matter to patients. And we can bring so many in that field since we have developed our own flagship concept, which is a new way of working at EIT Health that aims to bring flexibility and agility on the way to launch our call for expression of interest, our call for project. Each flagship is somehow disease agnostic, and is aiming to create synergies and leveraging effect with other instruments in the regional level, member states, or European level as well. So when it comes to the IPK in health, we can definitively use two types of call. Within EIT Health, we are dealing with our continuous call, which are published on a yearly basis with some specific cutoff, or aggregating the expression of interest of the direct partner that are expressing the interest to identify potential assets, expertise, capabilities, or capacity within the ecosystem. And then we can launch a dedicated call, which is so-called a one-time call issue, to address our community and mobilizing our partners, which are definitively indirect partner, that are willing to entering into a relationship with the direct partner to finalize the project consortia building over the course of the IPCEI in health. So as you have heard, IPCEI in health will be a 10 years program. So that means that today the matchmaking is starting up until end of 10th of March, but we can identify indirect partners that are willing to join direct partner project consortia. Obviously, we do expect to create synergy with our instrument at the regional level, national level, but also at the EU level with our sister KICs, so EIT manufacturing. It's evidence since we have heard that when it comes to the green technology, bioprocessing methods, and biomanufacturing innovation in that field. This is not one of our remit at EIT Health, but much more focused on the EIT manufacturing scope of expertise so far. But we do expect to work with other KICs and other instruments. So that's why we suggested to invite IHI to join forces today for this info session, since we, a couple of days ago, preparing a MOU to shape a strategic cooperation between IHI and EIT Health moving forward. And in the upcoming days or weeks, this strategic cooperation will be released by both organizations to create leveraging effect and or creating synergies. As you have heard, the IHI is much more focused on research, and we are much more focused on innovation and implementation. So there is a strong complementarities between both organizations. And last but not least, when it comes to access to finance as well. So access to finance for us doesn't mean only access to grant or subsidies. It means as well accessing to private investments. So this morning we have had a really good meeting with DG Grow and HERA in the context of HERA Invest. And we can support startups and SMEs that are willing to join a direct partner for IPCEI Med for Cure, or in the future for Care. And we can mobilize different type of financing. So private equity funding with EIT Health and European Investment Fund Venture Center of Excellence, which is a co-investment platform that is gathering private equity funding for startups and SMEs that are managing their fundraising round across Europe. And we can complete with EIF, with guaranteed loan, or in the upcoming months with HERA Invest that will be focused on the venture debt. So they are preparing, as you may know, a dedicated tool, so-called HERA Invest, that will be focused on venture debt. So in a nutshell, access to finance for us means access to equity, access to grant, access to subsidies, access to guaranteed loan, and access to venture debt. And that's our way of working at EIT Health, being able to create synergies between different types of instruments to bring much more firepower for project consortia that will be much more robust to tackle the healthcare challenges. And then I will come back in a couple of minutes regarding the spillover effect that we do expect to create regarding the talent gap and the talent crunch, if I may. But I would like to hand it over to my colleague.
Very well. Thank you, Jean-Marc. Indeed, I think we heard a lot of concrete examples, and this is very important. I think it's at the core of the roundtable right now. So this is, let's say, very valuable information. I will also come back to you regarding your mention about manufacturing. But before that, I would like to ask Magali, similar to the previous question to Jean-Marc, how do you see the complementarity to IPK? What are your vision or your goal towards that? So you can elaborate on that.
So thank you very much. So of course you understand that the position of IHI is quite different. So how we can contribute or support IPK and the different partners involved in the work stream. So first, based on the presentation of the four work stream this afternoon, earlier this afternoon. So I've already identified some of our existing projects that would perfectly complement this different work stream. And I think it would be interesting for the leader of this different work stream to get in touch with the coordinator of this project. So just to give you some information. So regarding the first one, collecting and gathering and studying bioresource. So we have a project under the second phase of IMI, which is called RDAT, which is accelerating research and development for advanced therapy. And I think there may be some complementarities. And some of the industry partners are involved in this project, but it could be of interest for the leaders of this IPK work stream to get in touch, or at least to have a look of the public partners and the small and medium-sized enterprise and the patient organization involved in this project. So the idea is for us really to facilitate the interaction between the different stakeholders. I would see more the role of IHI in that way. So we cannot be external contributor as such, but we can really facilitate and link the dots between the different stakeholders. So that's the first one. So if I have now a look at the second one on the tool for better understanding disease biology and to increase medical translatability. So we have the EBIS project. We started under the first phase of IMI, and which was followed up during the second phase. The EBIS project had the objective to set up a European bank for induced pluripotent stem cell. So, and this is now a sustainable bank. And I think it would be important because during the presentation it was mentioned that the objective is also to base the activity on publicly made available IPSC. And clearly here there will be an opportunity for this work stream to build upon what has been already developed within Europe and with European partners, with the support of European funds. So, and clearly this is how the synergy can be set up. So looking at the third one on processing innovation, so enhanced drug discovery, preclinical and clinical procedures. So we have also a project that started under the first phase of IHI, the European Lead Factory, which is a screening platform for identifying new leads and new molecules, so and really to accelerate and facilitate the pipeline and the identification of new leads. So and here again, so many information are already available, and I think it would be interesting for the leader of this work stream to get in touch with the coordinator of the project. And of course, Sanofi is largely involved in this European Lead Factory project. And last but not least, about the greener and safer manufacturing process and tools towards sustainability and resilience. Under the first phase of IMI, so we had the CAME21, the chemical manufacturing method for the 20th century pharmaceutical industry. And I think that based on the outcome of this project, that could be very useful for this last work stream to build upon this outcome and to get in touch again with the project. And this project, which was set up by the IMI, now IHI, of course, as 8 years old, but we will open a new call for proposal in June to follow up on this call on the manufacturing for the pharmaceutical industry. And I think it would be useful not only to look at the past, but to see how we can help you in closing the loop between the current work stream of IPCEI, IPK, and the new topic we have in the pipeline. So this is how IHI can really synergize with this initiative.
Very well. Thank you so much for your answer. I think it's clear even from these answers, talking also about manufacturing in several instances, that this really shows that indeed we need this kind of collaborations and that several of the issues that we're facing and that we have to tackle are cross-sectorial. But Jean-Marc, you already mentioned several examples. So can you tell us through these collaborations how this synergetic, let's say, effect helped on having, let's say, somehow emphasizing the impact, increasing the impact than what each, let's say, instrument could do alone?
Yes, for sure. So regarding the type of call that we can issuing together, so as I said, we are looking for to get insights from IPCEI selected direct partner to aggregate the expression of interest, and we know that they're looking for some specific assets or expertise and so on. And then we can, at the end of the year, issuing a one-time call issue to select indirect partner joining this project consortia. We can do so together. I mean, on a standalone manner, if you want, like with the EIT Health on the funding capability, but we can do so with the IT manufacturing as well to manage a joint call together with IPCEI direct partner. And from a funding model, we do expect to bring EIT funding for indirect partners that are not eligible to get member states' aid that are only dedicated to a selected direct partner. So from a funding flow sources, we can support academic partners that are not eligible to get member state aids, or startups and SMEs as well, and research organizations. So on one hand, it aims to create much more impact. So we know that member state aids are going to flow to a selected direct partner, and we can complement with our own EIT Health or EIT Manufacturing or cross-kick funding to support indirect partners that are not eligible to get member state aids accordingly. And that means that we can obviously claim these member state aids as co-funding for EIT, which is a specific great advantage for us as well. Regarding the other synergies, as you remember, with the EIT Manufacturing and the European Council of Barrier Regions, so CBAR, we started a couple of years ago to develop the biomanufacturing landscape analysis across Europe. It will be introduced by Anaïs in the upcoming and following roundtables. But this is something where we do expect to create, again, a significant impact. Under the scope of a CoBioE platform, we do expect to digitalize the landscape analysis across Europe to improving the ecosystem knowledge disseminations across Europe, meaning that we can identify a center of excellence in the field of biomanufacturing expertise, and that will be accessible through this CoBioE platform. But I will be this topic will be introduced by Anaïs in the upcoming roundtable. And regarding the talent gap as well, with EIT Manufacturing and EIT Food, since when it comes to bioprocessing or GMP compliance, and as far as I know, when it comes to the European Medical Agencies, it is about food safety and health. With EIT Manufacturing, EIT Food, and EIT Health, we can definitively manage cross-kick initiatives moving forward. So I have had a discussion with Marty Kahn before he was leaving to go to the European Commission, meaning that we can use our cross-kick proposal to be reconsidered, since now we know that IPCEI in health Made4Cure has been selected, and we can reshape our proposal to move forward by bringing a complementary value proposition to EIT in the future. And regarding the talent gap or the talent crunch, we know that many industrial partners are struggling with the access to talent in the biomanufacturing field, medical engineering field, regulatory affairs, and so on and so forth. So there is a huge pan-European battle regarding the access to talent. And this is something where we can do definitively a significant impact together, the cross-kick at least, by gathering upskilling or reskilling training modules for industry within the IPCEI in health that will be considered as a spillover effect toward our EIT Health Academy platform or the EIT Campus platform as well, but also toward the Deep Tech Talent Initiative, which is led by EIT Manufacturing with EIT Health supporting some specific work packages. So here we know that we have been entitled by the European Commission to train 1 million deep tech talent end of 2025, if I'm correct. So this is something that we can use definitively to bring complementary value for the IPCEI in health regarding the talent crunch.
Very well. Thank you, Jean-Marc. Actually, also to remind also for the audience that in the next roundtable, we're also going to have the Director of Education of EIT Manufacturing, Dr. Paola Fantini, who is actually also responsible from our side, together with some other colleagues on the DTTI, which, as you said, EIT Manufacturing is leading this cross-kick initiative. But before that, Magali, I would like also to ask you, similar to what Jean-Marc said before, about some examples of contributions that the IHI could bring to participants of initiatives like the Made4Cure that we So before, what kind of collaboration or synergies can we think there?
Thank you. So, as mentioned before, so one way of collaboration is making sure that we can help you in linking with the existing project of relevance compared to the 4 different work streams. So this will be the first contribution of IHI, and making sure that the different work stream can really take advantage of the result already generated within the IHI project. So that would be the first support, and it will be really a way to demonstrate the value of the European investment at different stages. So it's important. But there is a second element. So apart from the past, so we can look also at the future. And in IPCEI, so the work stream are led by the industry. And one of the beauty of IHI is that our industry partners may also provide some ideas for new calls for proposal where the public partner would get financial support. And I would invite the different industry partners really to engage with the trade associations, so from the pharmaceutical sector, FPR, from the digital and diagnostics, so with MedTech and COSIR, but also with Europa Bio, so to see how some of these ideas identified within the workstream cannot be entered into the pipeline of IHI for new call for proposal. And as also explained by Jean-Marc, so these different state aids that will be received by industry can be used as in-kind contribution to leverage EU funding for the public partners. So here it will be more perhaps a question of timeline, whether this corresponds really at the right time, but maybe for the future, and not only thinking about Med for Cure, but also thinking about Tech for Cure, because it will focus on digital, and we have an important digital portfolio that should be covered by IHI. So to already anticipate and see whether we can act in parallel to make sure that the idea enter into the pipeline of Tech for Cure can also be entered to a certain extent in the pipeline of IHI, to make sure that we can complement our different action and we can use the money in the best possible way. So, and last but not least, so in IHI we have another opportunity. We invite any entities, any stakeholder to submit ideas for new calls for proposal. We have a tool accessible via our website, and it's very important to have a look at this, because these different ideas are screened by our Science and Innovation panel. And if we consider that this fit within the IHI objectives, this may be also developed as a call for proposal, as a topic part of a call for proposal that will be subject to EU funding and industry investments. So these are the different ways how IHI can contribute to IPCEI, and how we can synergize between, we can set up synergy between these different initiatives. And of course, we can close the loop with the support of EIT Health, because as mentioned by Jean-Marc, so while IHI is more focused on research and EIT Health more focused on innovation, so our objective is really with the memorandum of understanding we've just concluded, to make sure that we can follow up between these different steps, and we do not have a stop in between.
Thank you so much. Then if I can immediately ask a follow-up question to what you said on what would be really the synergies that you would expect and the added value that you would like to have from participants, for partners, or from consortia that will come to you and work with you. You already, let's say, told us a lot of things of what you can do for them. So can you also give some hints on what would be the ideal partners or the ideal collaborations for you?
In the case of IHI, so our ideal configuration for collaboration is making sure that we have the industry partners working all together with the public partners. So that's really a key element of IHI, and I think that this is also a key element of IPCEI. So that's the reason why I think we can really have a close collaboration. We have similar objectives. We start from a different perspective, but at the end we have the same end objective.
Thank you so much. I will continue then with a question to both of you, having to do with manufacturing. So in manufacturing, we're talking a lot right now about skills. We're also talking about preventive also healthcare at the industrial shop floor, meaning talking about ergonomics, talking about safety of the factory shop floor. We're also talking about the production, the manufacturing of medical equipment to be done in a, let's say, quick and efficient way. We're also talking about zero defect manufacturing, which is very important everywhere, but maybe even more at the health sector. As well as we're also now talking in deep tech, for example, regarding VR, AR solutions that can help, as well as artificial intelligence. Now, during COVID, we also talked about disrupted supply chains and also about the flexibility of the factories in general, from the kind of, let's say, products that were needed during the pandemic, not only about the, let's say, the vaccines, but also, needles, masks, all of these things that had to be manufactured. So another, let's say, important point there is the flexibility of our factories in terms of product flexibility, meaning changing products, in terms of volume flexibility, let's say changing the volume, the production volume of the factory, while remaining profitable. So within, let's say, this kind of manufacturing world and the challenges that are there, what would you consider one or two that you believe are the most important right now, and what should be, let's say, there also in the future?
Thank you for this really relevant question. So from my perspective, I think that if we can, at least at EIT Health and or EIT manufacturing level, making a strong impact regarding two main aspects: the digitalization of the processing methods and the education part. I mean, when it comes to the bioprocessing methods, the digitalization of these bioprocessing methods is improving at pace, and we are identifying so many untapped innovations in that field in the European ecosystem. So I think that large corporate industry, my expectation is that large corporate industry are looking for and knocking on the door of EIT manufacturing and EIT Health to identify untapped innovations that are bringing such expertise or such a type of innovation that are reshaping completely the way of managing bioproduction so far, with a reduction of energy consumption, greening the production, getting much more flexibility regarding the batch of bioreactors with cells or gene therapies, a batch of reactors, putting bioreactors in network instead of having bigger bioreactors in one single factory, and so on and so forth. So from my perspective, I do believe that the future is about establishing a network of bioreactors, reviewing or reconciling the bioprocessing methods, and taking into account the impact from energy consumptions and the greening impact, which are mainly the remit of EIT manufacturing than EIT Health. However, our strategic cooperation with EIF, with the European Investment Fund, gave us the opportunity to identify amazing untapped innovation in that field. And we can gathering from a deal flow sources these type of companies across Europe. And the second part is about education. So we know that we are facing a big talent crunch across Europe. And in the field of ATMP, so advanced therapeutic manufacturing processes, we're looking forward to identifying a new skill set for biomedical engineers or bioprocessing engineers, digitalization of trainings across Europe, and regulatory affairs as well. So GMP compliance and regulatory affairs are definitively a set of skills that we are looking forward to bring to industrial partner. And my expectation is that industrial, pharmaceutical industry player for med for cure, and in the future, tech for cure, are asking to the KICs to be much more involved regarding the let's say the trainings activities or education activities, thanks to the KICS support that they can or that they could get access to.
Thank you so much, Jean-Marc, for the comprehensive answer. I fully agree with you. Magali, can you also reflect on my question?
Yes, of course. So in the context of IHI, so we are committed to contribute to the European Green Deal. And that's the reason why we are currently discussing how we can further support research to improve the manufacturing processes and tools with investment from the industry partners, and not only from the pharmaceutical industry, but also from the medical devices industry. So this is our plan for the call to be launched normally in June. In that case, so we are working not only together with industry and the European Commission, but we have also discussion with the European Medicine Agency, and we plan to engage discussion with the notified bodies in charge of the medical devices. So for the time being, we are still at the start of these activities, but clearly our objective is to make sure that we can support the development of greener and safer tools and processes in terms of manufacturing.
Thank you so much. One last question from my side, and then I will give the floor to the audience or online if we have a question. I will wear my hat as a director at EIT Manufacturing on the Regional Innovation Scheme program. So the Regional Innovation Scheme, for the ones who do not know, is a tailor-made program that is being deployed to EIT RIS eligible countries in order to enhance their innovation capacity. The EIT RIS eligible countries are countries who are moderate or modest innovators according to the European Innovation Scoreboard. And actually the majority of the EU member states, 17 of them, are moderate or modest innovators. So having this sensitivity and this objective to enhance their innovation capacity, I would like to ask you if you have any special, let's say, actions in order to enhance, to promote also your plans in these countries where perhaps the engagement may be a bit lower, to make sure that we also deploy our activities across Europe and we promote European cohesion and enhance their innovation capacity.
Thanks for this question related to RIS countries. Indeed, when you do consider the list of member states that signed the manifesto, if I'm correct, it's roughly 17 member states that signed the manifesto, from which 8 decided to activate the Med4Cure first wave IPCEI project by selecting a direct partner. Many RIS countries actually are part of Med4Cure. Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, north of Italy, Spain are RIS countries actually. So concretely speaking, these countries are already part of RIS countries by definition, at least in our own definition of RIS countries. And then when it comes to EIT Health, InnoStars is having its own strategic plan and implementation plan. We've dedicated the EIT Health funding. We are, let's say, dedicating a specific percentage of our EIT Health a portfolio of activities for RIS countries, and we do expect to create synergies with our funding capability in those regions actually. So when we are launching our call for proposal or for call for project, obviously InnoStars are more than invited to participate quite actively to this call for project. And we are having dedicated budget envelope to leverage, as a concrete example, Med4Cure. We will be dedicating a percentage of our EIT Health funding for these countries.
Perfect, thank you so much. Magali, would you like to share some of your actions?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. So within IHI, let me explain you a bit the governance of IHI. So we have our governing board and we have a science and innovation panel, but we also have a state representative group. So with the support of the different representatives of this RSRG group, so our objective is to promote the activities of IHI within each European country, including those less involved so far. And we really have a specific focus on facilitating the access to the information, but also facilitating the access to the application. So really to provide a dedicated support to some of the country, because otherwise we systematically have the same usual suspect. And but on this activity, we rely a lot on the representative of our state representative group. So that's the plan. And to that end, we participate very regularly to national and regional info day. We are really pleased to visit different countries and the research community in this region and country. So that's how we try to promote. Contrary to EITS, we do not have a specific budget envelope because we cannot treat differently the different countries, but it's more on how we provide the support and we facilitate the access to the information that we try to enhance the participation of some countries less represented so far.
Thank you. It's a really important point. I would like to complete. So indeed, we are dedicating a percentage of EITL's funding envelope to risk countries for capacity building, actually, for activities which are related to capacity building and innovation ecosystem in these member states. And indeed, when it comes to our call for proposal, the call for proposal are, let's say, complying with the openness concept, meaning that any partners from academia, from industry, startups, any SMEs that are coming from Poland, Hungary, Ireland, France, Germany, and so on and so forth, are obviously eligible to apply for our call for project on top of the activities that we are supporting for risk countries.
Exactly.
And if I may add something, so one of the issues we face so far is that usually we are less attractive than national or regional funds. So a European project within IHI, it's a large-scale project. And for some countries, so they are a bit reluctant to be part of this large-scale project because from an administrative point of view, maybe sometimes it's easier to get access to the regional fund. But that's the reason why we put a huge focus on facilitating access to information, also facilitating the access to how to fill in an application. So all this information, we try to give a support, but we have to be also fair enough because, as mentioned by Jean-Marc, so we have to launch open and transparent and competitive call for proposal. So we cannot give more advantage to one participant to another, but we try to help as much as we can.
Very well, thank you. Any question from the audience? Yes, please. Have another microphone. Give us a second, so also for the online.
So Annika Sabo-Portela, I'm Managing Director for EIT Health Scandinavia, and we've been discussing regions in Europe, and I was thinking also from the Nordics. We know that they are not necessarily part of the IPCEI, but obviously also being here today and members of EIT Health, I wondered if you could give a couple of more concrete examples how we could involve these regions more. So, for example, we have a matchmaking starting these days, but how can we involve also the Nordics?
So when it comes to Nordics member states that didn't mobilize themselves to participate to the Med4Cure, which is the first wave, there is obviously still a room of maneuver to welcome Nordics countries if they are willing to join the second wave. So related to a tech for cure, that will be focused on medtech, diagnostics, and digitalization of healthcare. Regarding the first wave, indeed, the Nordics member states didn't participate to the Med for Cure first wave, but it doesn't mean that SMEs, startups, or academic partners are not authorized to participate to the IPCEI Med for Cure project consortia building. So if one of the selected direct partner is identifying a specific asset, expertise, knowledge, capacities regarding the field of the main 4 streams that has been introduced by the streams leader, and if we are launching a call for expression of interest, so the famous one-time call issue, obviously the related partners are invited to get in touch with the direct partner, completing the project consortia, and then we will manage the access to eligible fund for these legal entities coming from research organization, university, hospital, startups, SMEs, spin-off from academia, and so on and so forth. With our own funding, or with the cross-cake funding, or with some other funding sources we are working on at the EU level or member states level as well.
Thank you. Any other question? Otherwise, I think we can conclude the session. Thank you so much for the very interesting discussion and very fruitful. So, Marie, I think now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for your insight. So, it's a perfect transition, because then we will speak about different initiatives that can complement the IPCEI, and these initiatives are really for this initiative. It's really important to include all the European regions, even the one that a bit isolated. So it's time for the last roundtable. So I'm calling Anaïs Le Corvec. She's managing director of the Council of Europe and Bioregion, and she will moderate the roundtable. Then we have Alexis Bitton. He's a European project officer at Genopole. We have Montse Daban. She's director of science policy and internationalization at Biocat. We have Virginia Claudio. She's senior advisor and program manager of the biomanufacturing platform at Europa Bio. And we have Paola Fantini, the education director of EIT Manufacturing. So I'll just let you.
Thank you very much. So, yes. So, hi everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, thanks to EIT Health to invite me to moderate this session. So, I'm Anaïs Le Corvec. I'm the managing director of the Council of European Bioregions. It's an association of a bit more than 40 clusters all across Europe in the field of life science. So my job today is easy. I have to moderate a wonderful panel where we'll give an overview of some current initiative that we believe complement the IPCEI, IPCEI or PIEC, depending where you come from. And maybe I will just say a couple of words or maybe why I'm here. Basically, a couple of years ago, Jean-Marc already mentioned this before, but we started a landscape of the biomanufacturing sector in Europe, especially with all the COVID crisis coming in and the issue, let's say, on the European side of things, and how we could understand better what was going on to improve the landscape. So we had collaboration from a lot of our clusters, a lot of the EIT nodes, and also EIT manufacturing, by the way. And some of the key aspects, obviously, were an amazing sector, a lot of potential, but a lot of need to push, for example, in terms of the talent, and Paula will talk about it afterwards. Some initiatives now are on the way. And also in terms of how to support better the sector and how to connect it. So I think it's a great opportunity now today to listen a little bit to those initiatives that are also now that have started. Some are just started. I will ask Alexis to start, but are just kicking off right now. So maybe with no further ado, and then I will ask you a few questions after you all present. But yes, Alexis Biton from Genopole. So welcome, and please tell us a little bit more about CoBioE.
Thank you, Anaïs. Thank you, the EIT, for the invitation. And yeah, I think this is really a crucial timing because our project is just starting right now. So what is CoBioE? CoBioE is a project of 5 partners together. So Genopole, EIT Health, CBR, we have Health Portugal, and ScanBalt. The idea of CoBioE was to connect the different ecosystem, focusing on the strong, the one that have been identified as strong ecosystem, and more isolated region. We will rely on the work that have been conducted by the EIT Health and CBR, the landscape analysis, to identify key technology value chain and try to bring around different players to try to accelerate spillover those technologies. We decided to connect different players because, as Jean-Marc said before, we identified some bottlenecks in training, funding, innovation. And the idea is to outcome those bottlenecks by the connection. I will maybe get into details later, but the idea is to use platforms, materialize different value chains by targeting the ones that are the most promising, maybe, and help complete or with additional technological bricks, bring the players together to create values.
Many thanks, Alexis. I just want to mention also CoBioE is financed or funded by the European Commission under the European Innovation Ecosystem Program. So I think it's very nice because this is also where we see complementary actions. So next, Montse Davan, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Montse Davan and I work at BioCat, which is the cluster organization that connects the life sciences and health tech ecosystem in Catalonia. I like to say that we have an ecosystem of about 1,500 companies and 100 research organizations, and I'd say that a big part of it are biotech, but also we have pharma, medtech, and digital health, a growing digital health system in Catalonia. And we are partners of Bioman 4R2, which is biomanufacturing for recovery and resilience. And this is a single market program project that is actually under the Eurocluster's call. And this is relevant because it intends also to build on the resilience at EU level. So for us, this is actually one of the main targets in our project. This project is led by Turku Science Park, but we are 6 partners there. CIBER, Council of European Bioregions, is one of the partners, of course. And I say, of course, because we are already in 3, actually, Anaïs, if I'm not wrong. So, but we have also Med Silesia, and we have also BioRegistern, and we have Medicine in Paris, and BioCat. And I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but apologies. The thing is that we intend to be aligned to the single market health challenges in terms of skills, in terms of funding, in terms of the interruptions of the supply chain. It is mainly based on the biomanufacturing landscape that the CIBER has been building with the EIT Health France, and Jean-Marc actually referred to that. And we were focusing on the findings in this biomanufacturing landscape to create the main targets for this and the goals for this project. So 2 good things about it, and I think it has a lot to do with what we've been seeing before in the work streams, is that we are providing a mapping of which are the needs, which are the main service providers, the SMEs, the funding opportunities, the investors, and it is an actual map. It's a platform, and it's an open data set in which you can just check which are the companies, the SMEs that are in our regions, but also across. It tends to be across Europe. Then we also identify their needs through a survey and through focus groups, and we provide for vouchers for funding, innovation and business vouchers, in which those companies can also find partners, can prototype, can validate. It's not a big amount of money, but it's something to leverage other funding. And this is, I think it's, and I will go later to that, but I think it kind of aligns with the previous challenges we've seen in the previous tables. And I'm going to leave this here, but later more.
Many thanks, Montse. And now I will ask Virginia Claudio from Europa Bio, because you're setting up a very nice platform on biomanufacturing. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit more?
Thank you. So Virginia Claudio here. Today, Director General Claire Scantlebury should have been on the stage, but unfortunately she couldn't attend. So I joined the organization last year as a program manager for the new activity of a biomanufacturing platform for the organization. Europa Bio is the European Association of Bioindustries, and it's a trade association that works with everything that is biotechnology, and that normally has been traditionally been categorized in biotechnology for healthcare and biotechnology for industry more broadly. And one thing that the organization has realized in past years is that actually there would be a much stronger, let's say, leverage of all the knowledge and all the strengths of biotechnology if we also started tackling the subject of biomanufacturing as a cross-sectorial activity. And one thing that we do in our organization, let's say where we focus on, is to look at the landscape in terms of legislation and regulatory settings that we have in Europe, to understand if there are any burdens we can address or gaps, and how can we leverage this the landscape to actually promote innovation and competitiveness. And from the viewpoint of the organization and the biomanufacturing platform, we're trying to be also a global perspective. We are here at EIT Health. Obviously, all we are discussing is extremely important for quality of healthcare and patient access. But let us not forget that the stakes are high. We're speaking about the industrial strategy for Europe. Biomanufacturing should be central in understanding that if we are lagging too much behind other countries, we are risking a lot, not only for patients' access, but also for tech sovereignty and competitiveness. And moreover, we are looking at biomanufacturing as a very important enabler of the green transition. We've spoken a lot about helping greening the industry and in general, promoting greener solutions, and that's what biomanufacturing is also all about. So perhaps I can elaborate more later. Thank you.
Many thanks. And last but not least, Paola from EIT Manufacturing, if you can introduce a little bit more, let's say now on the talent side, because that was clearly one of the issues that we've seen. And there's this quite ambitious objective, or 1 million tech talent by, when was it, tomorrow? No, 2025. So Paola, if you want to tell us on it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Anaïs, for the introduction. Yes, indeed, the topic of the talent seems to be really crucial. Already in the landscape exercise that was done, and you mentioned, I think a couple of years ago, less than a couple of years ago, in some of the countries like the Netherlands, Belgium, the Nordic countries, Spain, France, and Germany, it revealed that one of the barriers for biomanufacturing sector was really the lack of talent, the skills gap, especially with reference to digital skills, but not only. There was highlighted a need for specialization in education. And now we are here with this very ambitious initiative that has been already mentioned several times today, starting by Martin Kern, and then you, and then Konstantinos. The ambition is very big, 1 million of talent to be upskilled by 2025. The idea is to leverage on the KICs, but not only, to gather around this initiative all the players in Europe from the supplier side of training providers, so those that can provide the training, universities, but also private organizations. From the demand side, meaning employers, organizations that would like to contribute by upskilling or making their employees upskilled. Financier who can contribute by financing, providing funds in different forms, and other institutions or organizations and programs with whom we might or we could work together and exploit synergies. So through this gathering process that is called Pledge, we aim at reaching out to those talents and upskilling them. Who are those talents? It's quite wide, the range of people that we, or target groups that we are targeting, from young people at high school, which might be attracted and be educated to some of, the technology, but also to the aim that is besides, beyond the technologies, meaning to solve societal challenges, but also people that are already working professionally in the organization, and students of higher education and vocational training. So perhaps I can tell you something more later on. This is just about the scope of the initiative and a little bit what are the main categories that we are addressing.
Thank you very much. So this is the first, let's say, quick round of who's around the table or on the nice seats that we have here. So maybe I will just go and ask you some concrete question with what you just presented. So I might start with Montse. Montse, you, Bioman for R2, because I know the project too, started already last year. So this is why I put you first on the line. How do you see how we can complement what's being done with IPCEI? It also represents countries that might not be necessarily in IPCEI, but what kind of synergies do you see between the two projects? And maybe if you want to elaborate just a bit more on what the project is about and what's been done right until now.
Well, yes, thanks, Anais, because I really think that I've been seeing the different work streams. I have to say that some of the companies that were there also are in our region, which is, definitely trying to reach them and also see how we can build there. Of course, I see in workstream D, for example, the fact that we intend to build on these biomanufacturing processes, make them more sustainable, make them, modernize the infrastructures, the processes themselves. I see many complementarities there. That's for not only in workstream D, but I see there strong similarities in the purpose of what we have there. Also because we are trying to scale up the innovation ecosystem through biomanufacturing, we are trying to also provide or build on skills, and I see there also with the talent, of course, the talent initiatives that can be built around that. So building on there, for example, we have been surveying our ecosystem and asking them which are the talent gaps that they have. And I think this is good for any of the work streams that we've been seeing today. Regulatory, for example, they see that, and also internationalization, support in access to infrastructures for production, to funding, to investment. These are key aspects. But of course, in terms of talent, on the digitalization skills also. And listening to Paula now, I just thought about this World Economic Forum report, and a couple of years ago was published, Advancing on the Biomanufacturing Revolution. And they were mentioning also the interest of connecting to other sectors and attracting talent from other sectors. This is also the reskilling of people, not only in upskilling in the same sector, but also reskilling from other areas. So I think this is also good for any of the work streams that we've been seeing today, because they can, they're so broad and can build on this knowledge. So definitely with our vouchers, it's not a lot of money, but we can support connections, additional connections with companies that can be interested in joining any of these indirect players that are looking for a place in this consortia. This is something we can do together.
Many thanks. Now I'll pass on maybe to Alexis. So COBIO is about to start, actually kicking off tomorrow, but it's been already in preparation for some time. So how do you think, we can complement the work?
Yes, thank you, Anaïs. I think the first aim to COBIO was to meet the requirement from the European Innovative Ecosystem Connect, was to find possibilities in other isolated regions. So the first thing I can see from the difference or what we can bring to this IPCEI is to find those other countries that are not part of this IPCEI. So I think there is 8 countries, direct partners, and 17 who signed a memorandum. We have a lot of other countries to find and to target. They have actually a lot to bring in terms of talents, but also because they have industrial capabilities for most of them. Maybe they need to be to go into transition on this. So the first thing that comes to my mind is really to bring different actors. And for this, COBIO try to use different modus operandi. We really rely on networks because we believe that with networks we can spread to the whole Europe. And also try to find different actors, not just industrial, classic SMEs or startups, but also academics, stakeholders, all those players that we don't think first when it comes to biomanufacturing, but that can bring something to the different projects that we have seen in IPCEI. So the story short, I would say that the first thing that comes to my mind is really to find isolated players, but there is a lot of other complementarities we can find.
Thank you. I will ask Virginia now. You mentioned before, because this was one of the key elements when we started the landscape and also of the conclusion, you mentioned it before, EU sovereignty. So how do you work on that from Europa Bio and especially from this biomanufacturing platform that was launched, I understand, or is going to be launched more officially? If you could give us a little bit more insights.
So just maybe a few words about the platform itself. So that has been launched this year, and the 15th of March we have a summit where we invited our industrial members and institutional stakeholders and also investors, where we will really put the spotlight on biomanufacturing. But going forward, we will also organize a series of open webinars with focal topics on the subject, both in the healthcare sector and industrial biotechnology sectors and digitalization, and all the topics we've nicely touched upon already here on the stage with the previous speakers. When it comes to, let's say, what we're doing on, let's say, highlighting the importance of biomanufacturing for EU tech sovereignty. I think that something I was also discussing earlier with during our break. One thing that is a little bit difficult with this sector is that it's very fragmented. So it's not that easy to collect stats, as probably everyone knows who's doing these mapping exercises. And so I'm actually really happy to hear that more and more people are doing these mapping exercises. I think it will be nice to see if we converge on the same output and numbers. So that's one activity we set out ourselves to do with the help of our members and external let's say analysts as well. But also what we want to highlight is how different, let's say, benefits of biomanufacturing are important for the economy. So when we speak about biomanufacturing, we are essentially saying that capacity building means investments in infrastructure, but it also means jobs creations. It also means helping the economy with being more productive and being more independent from other nations. So we also bring in the global perspective from how China is doing in this sector, how are we doing in compared to China and in dependence from China sometimes. So we are trying to map that out, highlight it, and also see in which areas we think Europe could be stronger on its own, in which areas instead maybe it is better to cooperate globally. So these are all, let's say, topics that are under our scope of analysis and action.
Thank you very much. I'll pass it back to Paola. Could you give us a little bit more, because you mentioned before the, let's say, reskilling, upskilling, also from other sectors. So how concretely can this be done? Is there any, because you mentioned a little bit how it started, the foreseen measure, let's say, to bring talent to the biomanufacturing ecosystem?
Well, I cannot state that this is on purpose to provide talents to the biomanufacturing. But of course, upskilling and reskilling is an enabler for allowing different people that perhaps are locked in mature sector where maybe their competencies are no longer so needed, and they perhaps need to reconsider their profile, create or develop new skills, and perhaps envision new careers in a different sector. And since innovation, we as belonging to the community, the innovation communities in Europe, look not only at developing talents that are only able to execute the task, but rather to talents that can bring contribution in terms of innovation, a new idea, how to innovate processes, products, services, etc. to the sector, and perhaps also bring in ideas for creating startups. So with this in mind, this big deep tech initiative has created a list of definition of initial list of technologies based on recent findings, let's say, or more mature and ready to application technologies and scientific results, and a list of sector application for the time being that correspond to the scope area of the KICs. And the skilling initiative are aiming at developing those skills that enable the use of these technologies and scientific results to create new applications that can solve societal challenges in the sectors. And together with the other KICs, we are also thinking ahead, because, for example, one of the results of the report, the London report, was also the need to look ahead towards the future. So what we are developing are tech radars that not only look at the emerging technologies and their application fields, but also bring in an observatory on the needs for skills that are emerging from that, so that we can somehow steer the supply side of a training provider to develop and promote through our initiative new courses, new trainings that address and prepare for the future. So this is another fragment that can offer of what, together with the other KICs, we are preparing in order to create this very strong platform in Europe that can be at the services of the biomanufacturing, but also other sectors that are more and more important in Europe.
Okay. Then I'll Everybody has one. It seems we're good now. Maybe, Montse, I can ask you to bounce back on that, because you were also, when we started the landscape analysis, that the second wave will come out with the beginning of COBIOE on some of the countries that were not in the first one. There's a very strong ecosystem in Catalonia, so not in all the countries, nor all the regions of Europe, biomanufacturing is the first, let's say, industry. This is something that we've seen, and I think it's fine to see it. What do you see as a, let's say, leader region in that field? What is missing? What can be done? You've seen the EPK, we are in Bioman, so do you have any thoughts that you want to share?
Because after the biomanufacturing landscape, we identified the strengths that we have, but also the weaknesses, and which are the opportunities that we have to build on to be stronger in that sense. What we saw there is that we need to invest in all the value chain, not just parts of it. And we don't, of course, this is increasingly expensive, but we need policies to be keen on identifying which are the needs and providing instruments that leverage other existing instruments. So taking the whole value chain as important, and also not relying on the supply from other regions, because this is, of course, one of the main problems in terms of value chain disruptions. I mean, that was identified. The need to look at all the value chain as relevant to provide for the policies for that. Also, the talent was one of the key challenges that we had in all the regions. We need to scale up the ecosystems. We need to make it more prioritized in the agendas, and we also need to build on existing infrastructures to be ready when the time comes to make them work, and that means also having them prepared for that. So we identified those are the big gaps that we had, but also opportunities. What we saw also is that Europe has a good quality when it comes to producing, but it's slow sometimes regarding to other regions. So this delay in providing with solutions is also one of our key threats that we have to address. So those are more or less the things, I mean, of course, and that we have to build on talent programs that include all stakeholders. And that I think there's a lot to talk about that, what you were saying.
Thank you, Montse. And so, Alexis, you're with COBIOE, we're starting a broader, let's say, landscape. What do you expect to see in how to reach out those, like I said, this might be different groups of regions that can do different things in terms of biomanufacturing. So how do we reach out, and what do you foresee?
So this is really the beginning of the project, so we need to really define precise a strategy. But as I told you before, we decided to use different networks to be able to spread, to connect with everyone, even the most isolated ones. I think definitely from what my colleagues just said before, we need to prioritize on key technologies. So we need to really assess the strength and the weaknesses of the different regions, because we cannot start from scratch. So we really want to support to scale up. We don't want to create something totally new, because it would take a lot of time. So I think this is the first thing, and by the connection, we will really accelerate on those aspects. The other aspect is really to be able to bring the training, and when I'm talking about training, I'm talking about a specific category, which are the technicians, the ones that are working in production lines, because there are really a shortage in a lot of regions. And we often talk about engineers or PhDs, but we really find, if I'm talking about Paris region, a shortage in those categories. And for that, we need to involve partners, universities, but also training centers, that are not really familiar with bioproduction in general. So I see COBIOE. I cannot say. I cannot pronounce on a clear strategy, but I can see which kind of stakeholders we can target first, and those are the ones.
Thank you very much. Virginia, your turn, maybe in how you actually bring your own more industrial actors together, and what do they see to promote this?
Yes, so indeed, as an association, I think we naturally act as glue among different players. And one thing that we think is certainly helpful is to create synergies and also learn from one another. So among our members, we have corporate members, but also a lot of SMEs. And particularly interesting for biomanufacturing is a lot of national associations in biotechnology. And there are some countries which are clearly spearheading biomanufacturing activities, Industry 4.0 in biomanufacturing, digitalization, talent upskilling. So I think for some of the things, it may not be necessary to reinvent the wheel, but to, of course, each country has different models, different constraints, but we're still within Europe after all, so it may be possible to learn faster from one another and collaborate. And so, yes, indeed, that's one, let's say, strength which I think we could bring to the discussion to enhance the already existing instruments and mechanisms.
Okay, and so maybe I will go back to Paola in terms of the talent. So we're clear we need talent. This was, I mean, already when we published the first wave of the landscape, and you're saying that too, it's a key issue. So how can we fit in? How can we support this Deep Tech Talent Initiative? What can we give back to you so we get those, not the million, we will share with a bit more, but other sectors, but we need quite a few.
Okay, well, I think there are several ways in which each of you can contribute. First thing would be to go to the website, but also to talk with me and see to express an interest. And then there are several ways. One thing you could contribute by providing insight and knowledge about the skill gaps that you know. For example, this is very simple because I know that you already mentioned that you have discovered some of the things, and perhaps not just one shot, but a commitment to be, part of the initiative and contributing to scanning the landscape and providing more insight, or convincing your partners, for example, to sign up for the pledge, either because they can contribute with training or because they are willing to find, providers to upskill or reskill their employees. And then we are also aiming at creating a kind of pool of talents that hopefully would be a kind of community where all those that participate can attend and meet and get in touch with talents that perhaps are looking for another job. So we are not becoming a recruitment kind of agency, but a community where this type of exchanges can happen and are facilitated, of course. Have I answered?
Yes, yeah. No, many thanks. I think that's clear for everyone that wants to contribute. So maybe before I go to if there are some questions in the audience, I would like each of you to give in a minute or two just very concrete aspects of the program or the project that you're into and what you expect maybe to deliver in the next year. Because I think that can help the people who are viewing us, and also in relation with the IPCEI, what do you see? So Montse, for example, what are the next steps for the next year in Bioman?
Well, the next step would be, once we have already the open data set available, we expect that everybody just enter this link that we can provide and help us map the whole biomanufacturing ecosystem across Europe. Next step is providing the vouchers for companies and helping create these associations, these connections. And again, building on the talent needs, like you say, I mean, this is an ambitious goal, and only if we work as an ecosystem across Europe, we can be able to address it. So please enter the project and help us build and of course, more initiative like today, connecting our projects, because it's the only way to work in common. So that would be my 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. Alexis?
Okay, so the project just starts, but we have a clear roadmap. I would say the first one is to complete the landscape you have done, targeting, maybe identifying key technologies, which is one thing. The second thing is the platform, to develop a platform where we can materialize the value chains and possibly position the different actors or players, which will take a lot of time. And maybe the year after, so the second year, we will be able to monitor and to manage focus groups on specific issues to help the people to connect, but also to address issues by collaborating. So, yeah, this is the 3 main steps that we need to take in 2 years, which is really fast.
It goes really fast. Yes, already 2 years since we started this landscape. So I did my master degree with this landscape in biomanufacturing, I must say. So anyways, please.
Yes, thank you. So at Europa Bio, as we just launched the activity, the biomanufacturing platform, our, let's say, number 1 goal is to raise awareness about what is biomanufacturing for those that are not familiar with biotechnologies in general. So when we speak about personalized therapies, that is biomanufacturing, cell and gene therapies, challenging oncological diseases, but also if we say enzymes for industrial processes optimization, which are not in the realm of healthcare, but still part of biomanufacturing, and novel materials. These are all the things we want to bring to the attention of stakeholders that maybe don't have the technical expertise, but that are still important actors on making sure that within Europe we have flourishing biomanufacturing industries. Let's say beyond that, we want to, let's say, connect the community and launch a series of webinars where we invite key opinion leaders and make sure that we let's say, understand what are the barriers and maybe propose solutions for how to tackle them.
Thank you. Paola, did you want to add on what we expect in the next year or so?
Well, of course, to set up the community, the catalog of courses, the pledges. But I wanted to mention, in particular, since I'm hosted by EIT Health, that we will have the first annual Deep Tech Talent Conference organized by EIT Health in September or October 2023, and I hope this will be one of the greatest moments of the year.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to say very quickly that, and sorry because I forgot, that biomanufacturing for our 2 is also about medtech. So next steps also include collaborating with the IPCEI, and not only in Med for Cure, but in Tech for Cure also, because we can provide also there some insights. So looking forward to it.
Yes, and Alexis, you wanted to mention something else?
No, I just had a question for Virginia. I don't know if it's only focusing, this biomanufacturing platform is only focusing on the health, or is it focusing on biomanufacturing in general?
It's very cross-sectorial. Okay. Really anything that you can imagine linked to biomanufacturing, yes.
So maybe one of the key challenge we can try to address is how to bridge those different sectors.
Indeed, especially if we speak about the manufacturing aspect itself and digitalization, I think that's a very, let's say, horizontal challenge. Of course, there are peculiarities, but I think that it's helpful, at least in these topics, to break the silos and talk more cross-sectorially too.
Definitely. Many thanks for all your insights and the clear need for collaboration. I think we're going to be collaborating anyway very soon in the future. I don't know if there are any questions. No? It was super clear. Then many thanks. I think we covered at least, and many thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you all for your participation. It was very clear, and it opened us up very good opportunities and ideas to further collaborations. Before giving the floor to Jean-Marc for the conclusion, I would like to thank the speakers, of course, for their participation and the great discussions, but also the online audience. Thank you for joining this afternoon. I hope you have enjoyed the discussion and the presentation. Just one practical information. So there will be replays of the entire info session, so available soon. So if you missed some parts, we will communicate about these replays. And one last thing, so don't forget to book meetings on the matchmaking platform. So you have until Friday to discover the direct partners and their projects and their needs, and hopefully to book meetings with them. So the conclusion is also that it has been a pleasure for me and for the team, I think, to be here today. And I hope that we will continue the discussions, because we need transparency, and we need also to link the different initiatives and instruments. So Jean-Marc, I give you the floor for the conclusion. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Marie. Really great job. So I would like to congrats you for this tremendous effort for a while, at least since 2 years. I remember that we met together with the GEO colleagues in Paris to start this discussion and to organize such a type of fruitful collaboration. So thanks a lot, Laura, for your trust on behalf of EIT Health and the EIT. So you have heard Martin Kern's statement. Well, so I would like to thanks a lot as well DG Grow Kristen, who has accepted to manage the welcome words. As you have heard, DG Grow is definitively supporting this really important initiative across Europe, and Martin Kern as well. So with our colleagues from the other KICs, EIT Manufacturing and EIT Food and others, in energy and so on and so forth, we will pursue the dialogue to see how we can manage a complementary leveraging effect for the IPCEI in the upcoming weeks and months, together with the education colleagues, so and the innovation colleagues as well. You have heard that the matchmaking platform is open by 10th of March. This is a first step, bearing in mind that the IPCEI is a 10 years initiative, and that the indirect partners will get the opportunity to reaching out to the selected direct partners for the first wave, at least for Made for Cure. And one of the key takeaways is as well to bring as a community insights to the IPCEI coordinator to prepare the definition of the market failures for the second wave, which is focused on tech for medical devices, medtech, and digitalizations of healthcare. So Tech for Cure is entering in a specific journey whereby member states should have to meet in between each other under the umbrella of the IPCEI coordinator to finalize the definition of the market failure. And during this period of time, so we do expect to reinforce the collaboration and the interaction with the direct partner to prepare and to aggregate the expression of interest, to identify the assets, expertise, know-how, capabilities they are looking for to complete their project consortia. And in 2022, end of 2023, at EIT Health, we do expect to prepare a one-time call issue for 2023 onwards to launch a call for proposal for indirect partners that will be selected and that will be funded by EIT Health moving forward. It will be the same process for the other KICs. So we are trying to touch base with EIT colleagues as well to reshape our cross-kick proposal that has been submitted with EIT Food and EIT Manufacturing that aims to address the knowledge triangle for innovation, education, and business creation. And we can definitively, since we know right now that we are integrated into this IPCEI as an external contributor to bring much more value in the future. Regarding the DTTI, you have heard that this is something which is really important for us as well, since we know that we are supposed to bring complementary impact and spillover effect for a selected direct partner. I do wish that direct partner from industry will be willing to nurturing the dialogue with EIT Health and EIT Manufacturing regarding the Deep Tech Talent Initiative. We can definitely bring so many opportunities as enabling kicks to bring from a demand side and supplier sides the skills gap that the industry players are identifying, and that we can develop further education modules, training modules for upskilling and reskilling workforces at industry level, but also at the academic level as well. So when it comes to the DTI, next steps from my perspective is to touch base with EIT Manufacturing and ETL's team to identify the industrial pledges in the field of talent gap. On top of which, we are informing you officially that we are moving forward to finalize the development of a working health and talent marketplace platform. So the name of the platform is so-called Talent Force. This is something which is ongoing for a while as well, and we do expect to develop further across Europe a platform, a digital platform that aims to connecting the dots between academia world, so research organization, universities, university hospital, engineering schools, business schools, to let's say attracting talents, getting in touch with industry world, so SMEs, startups, and large corporate industry from pharmaceutical sector, but also from medtech sector. And this work in health is a endowment fund that aims to develop further across Europe a skills observatory that will influence our KICS call for expression of interest to fund in the future our education portfolio with our university partners or academic partners. You have heard that from IHI, so last week we have had the opportunity to prepare a MOU with IHI, and we signed the cooperation agreement together with Hugh Cleverty, and this publication of cooperation agreement will be released in the upcoming weeks. When it comes to IHI, they are definitively willing to work with us and with IPCEI to bring much more additional opportunities in the education field, but also when it comes to biobanks. So they have already developed so many programs that could be leveraged with the direct partner regarding the access to cells, samples, biobanks, and so on and so forth. Based on the workstream B, if I'm correct, or C, I don't remember. So it was the talk from Sanofi. So what I've heard is that the IPCEI in health is aiming as well to develop further the precision medicine or personalized medicine initiatives for advanced therapeutics. Just to let you know that we are currently finalizing a discussion with DG RTD with 2 member states, so Germany and France, regarding the European Partnership for Personalized Medicine, in which EIT Health will get a special seat in this pan-European project consortia. And we are supposed to submit the project proposal end of April, which is the deadline. And hopefully, if this European partnership is selected, we will be able to create synergies as well, and connecting the dots between the European Partnership for Personalized Medicine and IPCEI in health regarding precision medicine outcomes of IPCEI project so far. And last but not least, when it comes to the fact that EIT Health is a member of the Joint Industrial Cooperation Forum, of ERA. This morning we have had a really good meeting with ERA colleagues and the European Investment Bank. You know that they are currently moving forward to prepare the ERA Invest tool, which is a new tool that aims to addressing the market failures in the field of the advanced therapeutics companies that are developing cell therapies, gene therapies, vaccines, and so on and so forth, and antibiotic resistance. And this ERA Invest is aiming to bring a venture debt capability for promising scale-up companies across Europe, so SMEs mainly, startups and SMEs. And this venture debt is under development with EIB, and we started the discussion a few weeks ago to see if we can leverage this tool, and that could be some kind of additional and complementary benefit for IPCEI in health moving forward. Well, thanks a lot. I would like to thank a lot the corporate affairs team and the French team who has definitively made a really great job to organize this IPCEI info session, and I wish you all the best for the upcoming matchmaking discussions with the partners. Thanks a lot, and all the best. Thank you.